Welcome back to the Connected podcast. I'm thrilled to bring you an extraordinary collection in which some incredible students take the driver's seat and host dynamic conversations with professionals from across the higher education sector, discussing the vital topic of student belonging. In our next episode, Gem Standen is talking with Hermione La Chapelle from the University of Sussex. Hermione is a senior student engagement officer and part of the Belong at Sussex team. Her work currently focuses on both research and running events to boost student engagement to support students from unrepresented backgrounds, including student parents, care experienced students, and members of the Gypsy, Traveller, Roma, Showmen and Boater communities.
I was reading about your project earlier today, and I think it sounds absolutely wonderful. For our listeners today, I wondered if you could please explain what the Belong at Sussex programme is all about in your own words.
Yeah, of course. So Belong at Sussex, to me, is about reshaping university experience so that students from all backgrounds, but especially students from underrepresented backgrounds, feel like it's a space where they can't only exist but thrive. So it's about recognising that for some students, with all the expectations and environments that don't always reflect their lived experiences, they might need to kind of foster a sense of belonging, find their community, and really feel like that they fit in. So Belong at Sussex was created a couple of years ago to change that, and it's, I guess, quite holistic in that it's reducing barriers students themselves have told us that might get in the way of feeling kind of safe and secure and seen on campus. So whether that's navigating university as a care experienced student or a strange student, or a refugee or asylum seeker, it recognises that belonging might look different for everyone depending on your background, and of course kind of taking into account intersectionality and how that compounds. So our work is kind of funded, I suppose, and led by the APP, which is the Access and Participation Plan. So what we call APP Success, which is looking at how we can build belonging into the entire student journey and the student life cycle, so from arrival to graduation. And I think one of the biggest parts of strands of the APP is the co-creation connector project. So that's where students underrepresented students work directly with us as staff to design resources and interventions and spaces that really reflect the needs of them and the needs of their peers, because I think a lot of the time students know what students want, so it's a lot easier for students to kind of come up with strategies and initiatives and things to foster belonging with the community and with themselves. So this approach has really helped bridge kind of disconnect between institutional support and student experience. I really have found that students trust programs that are built with them rather than just being built for them. And one of the major kind of projects that we do as a co-creative project as part of the Belong Sussex team is transition programme. So the transition programme runs before every term begins, and it's a weekend, it's 4 days. And we kind of advertise and send it out to all different students from underrepresented backgrounds. And it's very much a kind of, I suppose, it's grounded in authenticity of what it's like to live on campus and like the real campus experience. So they get to experience it before they come, and because obviously it can be a bit overwhelming starting university, and everybody's kind of all go. So it's nice to kind of go through the motions, get to know the space, and kind of find your community, find friends before university begins. So they stay in halls as well, so it gives chance for students to get familiar with what it's like to live in halls in a very low pressure environment. It's also designed to be neurodivergent friendly, with different options for kind of quiet spaces and different neurodivergent friendly options, like having STEM toys or board games and what have you, and things that can relax into university. So yeah, for many students, this really removes the fear of the unknown and replaces it with, I suppose, confidence and early connection and belonging from the get-go. So I think that shift is, really, really important for starting university as well.
I completely agree with you. I think that successful transition into university can really help students quickly find the sense of belonging. And actually, the sort of longitudinal approach that you have explained that you're taking there is an ongoing way of being able to capture anyone who might have missed that at the start of the year as well. So that sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, exactly.
So why do you think fostering a sense of belonging is especially important for students from those underrepresented backgrounds?
Yeah, so for many underrepresented students, the university might not be, I suppose, like a neutral space. It's kind of a space that could be full of invisible barriers. So when we talk about belonging, I think that we're kind of really talking about equity. And it's, recognizing that some students, because of intersectionality and in different compounds, might be carrying a kind of heavier load, so to speak. So it might be financial pressure, or um, being from a minoritized community, or estrangement, being the first in their family to attend university, or kind of navigating life in a new country if you're an international student. So I think that experience can be really isolating, and quite exhausting and overwhelming, especially if you don't see yourself kind of represented, or understood at university. um, I also think that belonging directly impacts student well-being, as well as academic confidence and retention and success, which is all sort of quoted from the Mental Health Charter, which is another thing we're kind of really trying to inform our work at the minute. So that kind of describes, students who feel that they belong are more likely to be resilient, and connected, and are kind of more, more likely to succeed and really thrive in the university environment. Um, and we know from kind of national and institutional data that students from, different underrepresented backgrounds, for example, lower socioeconomic backgrounds, or, racially minoritized groups, are more likely to withdraw or kind of disengage from university early. So I think it's obviously not just about ability, and it's kind of whether the systematic initiatives and the university system supports students fully and kind of recognizes the complexity of intersectionality. So we've tried to build belonging in tangible ways. Um, for example, Brighton is a very expensive place to live, and obviously that can affect how students can access community. Having the culture of meeting people, going out for food or going out for a drink, and because of the cost of living crisis, that might not always be accessible, I suppose. Um, so we've embedded sort of low barrier engagement into our work, stuff like free cooking workshops, food boxes, um, events that kind of combine practical support with social connection. So we always try to encourage having food as well as an option, not just for engagement, but yeah, just to kind of help with those barriers. So yeah, I think that's really good ways to kind of remove stigma and kind of open up access, especially for students juggling financial responsibilities. Um, and I suppose the final sort of thing to talk about, although I've kind of touched on intersectionality, is that I really think that students aren't, defined by kind of one aspect of their identity. Um, which is why we've kind of co-created programs that really like reflect, I suppose, different layered realities rather than kind of targeting one demographic, but recognizing how all the different aspects of identity intersect, and kind of through initiatives like, for example, we have race equity advocates. I kind of help run events for GRTSB students, which has been really, really good. And, we have different kind of care packages for estranged and care experiences in estranged students. So I think having things that kind of, I suppose, run through the APP and target demographics, but are open to all students and accessible to all students, is really, really important, in kind of boosting belonging, but also making sure that all students' voices are heard, and centred, I suppose, in institutional change.
I love that. And you're right. I don't think people do just sort of fit into one sort of demographic, do they? Like, people are much more complex than that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I really like how your program encompasses that sort of whole university, whole person, holistic approach. I think is
mistake.
really healthy,
Yeah.
and a really pragmatic way of supporting people overall. So I guess my final question for you is, have you seen a real shift in how students connect or get involved since this program started?
Yeah, absolutely. So it only started a couple of years ago, but it's really encouraging the response that we've had. And I think that one of the clearest signs that we've had is kind of a consistency of engagement. So students aren't, just showing up to one event and disappearing. They usually come back, form networks and communities, kind of get involved in shaping, future events and future initiatives, and then kind of in a lot of ways end up becoming part of the program in that, they might be a student connector, which is basically obviously all revolving around co-creation of projects. So I think that's really, really good. For Family Fun Day, for example, which is something I did about a month ago, it was really, really lovely. It was for student parents. And it's kind of, yeah, a space in half term where you can, bring your children and have your children interact with each other and meet other children who might be living on campus. But I suppose also it's for parents to meet other parents and talk about strategies and university, because it might be quite isolating. You must be, it's time poor, and it's kind of a little bit more hard to find your community, for example, if you're a parent. So that was really, really nice, because a lot of parents made some connections, and I suppose a lot of the children got to kind of visualize where they're, where's my mummy going every day? Like, why is she always going to lectures? They get to see the campus space, and kind of understand, what's going on with that. So that was really good. And I think even the attendance for that over the 2 years has really, really improved. It sort of started at about 30%, and now it's 100%, which is really, really lovely to see. And we had some really great kind of evaluation and feedback from that it's the first time that they've felt that, the university sort of sees their whole identity. Um, I think even though kind of numbers are important, I think it's worth saying that, engagement is not a kind of quantitative thing. It can't be, I suppose, evaluated easily or quantified, because I suppose you can't really quantify belonging. I think that even though it's really, really great to have high engagement and kind of, really good turnout in terms of numbers, I think that even if you're working with a group of students from an underrepresented background, it might be sort of smaller communities anyway. So for example, the GRTSB student-led events that we've done, even if there's slightly less engagement, I think the impact that it might then have on those few students that do attend, it's so, I suppose, powerful and important, and really, really hard, even sort of to put a qualitative evaluation on. So yeah, I think that was really, really important for those students to kind of see themselves represented, um, and know that the support available is sort of meaningful for them. And the last event that is probably worth talking about is One World Week, which is co-organised with our Students' Union and has evolved into a campus-wide celebration of culture and identity and heritage, where we also involved Brighton-based students and different different students from Brighton University. So it's a really, really nice collab. And yeah, that's really, really good for sort of fostering community and belonging. And yeah, I think the most powerful shift has been how students now approach belonging as something that I suppose they can help shape themselves. I think student voice is really, really important in the programme. I think that, as I said earlier, sort of students know what students like to see. So I think that them kind of stepping into these spaces, knowing that their voices have value, has made a really, really big impact. And yeah, I kind of hope that our student body feels confident and connected and responsible for the university community that they want to build.
I think that's beautiful, Hermione. It sounds
Thank you.
wonderful. I mean, ultimately, I know from my own experience as a mature student, that sort of being able to choose how you belong is a really poignant thing to me. I'm not the most socially driven person. The people that I choose to socialize with within the university environment tend to be more network related things,
Yeah.
about the opportunities that I can sort of get for myself, but that's not always the case with everybody. So I think the sort of expectation that everybody wants to feel a sense of belonging in the same way is something that is potentially a dangerous assumption. And the fact that you've got all of these different things for people to engage with is wonderful. And that getting that insight from different cultures and things like that for your world event as well just sounds divine.
It's such a beautiful week. Yeah, there's a lot of good food, a lot of good dancing. Like it's an amazing event. And yeah, like you say, I think belonging does obviously look different for everyone. Belonging is never necessarily the same for one student. It doesn't always look the same. So I think it is, really nice to kind of try and encompass everyone and all identities.
I completely agree. Before we come to a close today, I wondered if there was anything else that you would like to add at all?
I think that's everything. I mean, I was going to maybe ask a question for you about firing it right back at you. So I know that you are a mature student. So what would you maybe have liked to see in terms of belonging at the university? What's your experience of that?
So I think you've covered this quite nicely with your answers, but it was the assumptions that were made about me as a mature student. If I'm being honest with you, I found that really irritating.
Yeah.
Because I was 22 when I did my undergraduate. I'm much older as in my 40s doing my PhD. But that's been a slight annoyance that sort of encompassed my journey throughout. So people, when I had smaller children, just assumed I wouldn't have the capacity to get involved in things, whereas actually that's up to me to decide.
Yeah,
So,
completely.
So like there were things like that I found sort of more marginalising than anything else, because although people had my best interests at heart, potentially through some of the assumptions they were making, it could have just been a simple question.
Yeah, and just ask, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you want to fit in here? How do you see yourself? Because I saw myself, I had my family, I had friends that lived off campus. I'm from the area, so yeah, the way that I wanted to belong at the university was different to my peers, but I still wanted to feel a sense of community more than anything else as well. So I think the type of program that you're running over at Sussex provides that community as well. And then again, people can build in how they belong within that. So I think it's really wonderful. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, amazingly. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, it's absolutely fine. And yeah, again, I'm just really grateful for your time today and for your expertise and for sharing such a wonderful program with us. I think our listeners are going to really enjoy hearing about this. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you more in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, Gem. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to the Connected podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out the rest of our extraordinary Voices of Belonging collection and stay connected.